Okay, this is the ultimate challenge for me today. Of course, I got my Awana multiplier, which is a good thing because I got the Gaelforce 83 on my Bruce and Walker 15-foot 7.9. But the Gaelforce 83 1011 has been modified by Poppy at the Red Shed Fly Shop to be, I think, 72.5 feet. Correction, 75.5 feet. And 800 grains. Or 850, I forgot, but it doesn't matter because this is a fishing line. This is not a comp line or one of those heavily rear-weighted lines. It's got a long back taper, and if you leave the running line integrated into the head portion, it's got a super long back taper, and it's a fishing line, so you can choke up on it. Like you can slide the head all the way down here or reel the head in a little bit, so you can fish all lengths with it. So when you have it at this length, there's still some back taper on it. It's not one of those blunt tapers, you know, like a Rio Scandi Short or a Bridge Tributary, the Bridge Main Stem, or the Boss Long. You know, they're really heavily weighted. They're just blunt in the back, and it makes them really great for easy casting. It's like having training wheels on your fishing line. Okay, it just makes it so easy, so fun, and that's why I like those lines, because they're just so pleasurable to cast and easy. They're good to start with, good to finish with. I mean, they're great lines, and I have or had most of them. Okay, so I'm not, you know, I don't really care, but this line has some back taper on it. But this line, if I cast it, fished it, it would make me an excellent caster, because it really, talk about long lines don't lie. They really don't lie with this. I have to put all my focus and energy into casting this thing, but that means casting it with the rear taper outside the guides with overhang. I'd chop it to 70 feet, and it would probably be, then I could use a little overhang. I'd like to get to where I could use more overhang with this, but I had to start with the head inside the guides. And just, man, talk about making sure your technique is perfect. There's just, you have to be so smooth in the lift and so smooth. And plus I'm casting kind of have weird currents here that put a lot of slack in your line quick. So it requires a lot of technique, and so what it really requires for me, of course, getting that smooth lift, keeping tension into the sweep, and then making sure that when I get to my shoulder, that rod tip's got to be going up. You can't get away with any bad technique. So, but it's, you know, you gotta go down to where you can cast it, put the head in the guides, work your way up to the heads outside the guides till you're making clean casts. You figure it out at what it takes. And what it takes is perfect technique, you know. So if you don't get your lift just right and it sinks a little bit, you're gonna get shock waves in your line, okay? So you focus on the lift. And then the main thing, you know, when I went to doing snake rolls and stuff, snake rolls are kind of my weakest cast at the moment. Oddly enough, my left hand is more natural than my right hand. But what it took was like, you really got to work on keeping the tension. And you really, you know, if you don't really do this and get that bottom hand, really make this the fulcrum, I end up working so hard, you know, so I have to make sure I'm really making the rod do the work. Okay, that was an ugly loop, but you didn't see that. So, anywho, the other thing, like, you can't get lazy with a line this long. So what happens is, like, even though it's not like super duper heavy, sure my barn door's up, even though it's not super duper weighted in the rear, it's still, you know, that big old D loop. That's a lot of line in the D loop. And if you don't have your acceleration right, it's going to collapse on you before you get your forward cast. So for me, I'll try to do a left-hand snake roll. To me, I kind of had to change what I was doing with the easier to cast lines. So instead of just like being relaxed through the snake roll, making sure I had my rod tip path going up, I feel I need to accelerate throughout the whole thing more. It's like I need to really make sure I am accelerating perfectly and pretty heartily through the continuous motion sweep and circle up. The whatever you want to call the climbing curve, I'm going to make sure I'm climbing and curving and sending that D-loop up there and not down there. Because even when it's up here, you still got the challenge of timing everything right so you can get your forward stroke. And then the challenge is to stroke correctly, however you want to do it, pull, and I like to stop that rod. If I don't, I end up, you know, with all this line, I'll get to just throwing it, you know, and it'll go out, but the loops will be round. I'll just go, you know, try to throw it like that, which is like you're lengthening your stroke, but you're kind of not really casting it. So I still want to go. See, there I got a nice loop. Okay, but if I throw it and just let the rod kind of come undone, let the rod release the line lower without me being an active participant in where I want that rod to stop, it'll throw a big round loop and it won't get it tight. And it is counterintuitive because, you know, you feel like you got to launch it out there and put the whole rod into it, but still we're using the same, for me, this is different for everybody, but for me, I definitely want to stop the rod and get a nice loop. Okay, so let's see. So, see and then if you accelerate too fast, it shocks the rod because it's a big old heavy line. Okay, so you still got to do all the parts right. So see that long old D loop, it's like doing weird stuff behind me. It's bouncing around and I can hear it on things, you know. So it's a real battle to have perfect acceleration and perfect rod tip path, perfect using your arms right so the rod is casting and not your arms and your body. Okay, so I accelerate as much as I can through the end of the prep stroke, like through that, and then you got to get your hands up. So it's just hey, when I throw it like that, I get a cast that looks somewhat. It's not beautiful. I don't even know what leader I got on this thing. I'm in a hurry because of pull pedal paddles today. But it just requires extra timing, and the biggest thing that helped me when I started doing snake rolls is usually I just kind of gradually accelerate through them, and now I'm like going, now I'm really accelerating through this part, okay? And I'm not when you accelerate like that, it's really easy. When I accelerate like that, it's really easy to over rotate with my wrist. So, okay, that was a decent cast, but I was giving her onions the whole way through and backing up. And you got to be careful that you don't give it through and then rotate your wrist and blow your anchor and your yarn hits you in the back of the head. So it's just constant feeling my way through and not getting too. I get a little risky when I drift back to cast, but it's just mainly timing and a lot of focus and effort. And now, after, you know, an hour with it, I don't feel so much like a pig in roller skates. Also, I'm not wading deep at all. So it's a matter of, if you don't keep it smooth throughout the lift and the sweep, the big, long, heavy line will shock this rod. It might be a little overline for this rod, but if I cut off those 2 feet, I'd probably be about perfect weight-wise. So, that was weird. I just, you know, to get it really right, I just had to go back to switch casting. Even that thing. So I didn't accelerate enough. You gotta have constant motion. I like to try to do constant motion into the firing position, or into maybe right before the firing position, where I do a little drift into the firing position. So, okay, that was a decent loop. Still not perfect, but so it's so much. Okay, that was decent. That was decent. So acceleration into, see, that time I got too wristy. So for the snake roll, I'll do it left-handed. You're gonna get that line all the way out of the water, forward, down, up. See how I ended up down here? I really need to get my shit together and end up here, okay? I'll do it right-handed. Okay, I got it off. I still stopped too low. Okay, there I stopped my rod tip high.